Buddy. Okay, wait. I think I am live in all the damn places. Hi, everybody. Jody Bentley here. Hello. Who am I? I am an actor. I am the CEO of Actor Insider, the CEO of the Actors Office, and I'm coming live to you on my Instagram at Actor Insider, in my Facebook group, The Actors Workspace, and on my YouTube channel, Actor Insider. I see three of my faces in front of me. How fun is that? Not that fun. Hi, everyone. So I go live on the first and third, usually, Fridays of every month. I think it's different this month. Is it different this month? Yes, because I was hosting my summit. It's different this month. But I go live on the first and third, usually first and third Fridays of every month for our Kofi. It's just starting off really well. For our coffee and coaching, or our Kofi and coaching hour, however you want to say it, where I answer any and all questions that you have about your acting business, your acting career. I call it coffee and coaching, but I drink my green tea and we have a great time. Let me know I'm going to give you a second to find me here. Let me know that you can see me and hear me. I'm just going to double check that I'm live in the Facebook group because sometimes that gets weirdo. Let's see. Nope, there I am. I see myself. Great. So here we are on August 22nd. I can't believe we're almost 8 months through in this year. We are coming on September. I do love September. September is my birthday month, September 20th. So any fellow Virgos out there, I'll give you a shout out and say happy birthday. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about business. So as you start to tune in, please ask any and all questions that you do have about what's going on in your career, what's going on in the industry right now. Let's chat all about it. I think this acting business, which you've heard me say before, is not a go-it-alone business. I think it's very important to have a community of people around you that you trust, that support you, and that you get the support that you need. And I was in my 20s. I thought that I could do it all by myself. I thought I didn't need anybody, right? I went to going to NYU. I went to Tisch. I didn't even think I needed a dang acting class. I was like, I got everything I need. And I made the business much harder than it needed to in the first part of my career. So that's part of the reason why I show up here twice a month to answer your questions. Is because I didn't have that. And I want you to feel like you have someone that you can trust, that someone's in your corner, without having to pay for that person. And then if you do want to take this work deeper, you can go to my website, actor-insider.com. I have a ton of freebies on there that you can download, start to get your brain going, and you can read some about my products and courses and all of that. But I just wanted to just talk today, and I've been talking all this past week. In case you missed it, I just did this huge summit for actors. We Audition was our main sponsor, and we were called We Audition the Shortlist. And I did a huge summit for actors just to talk about the state of our industry and what's happening in our industry, because I think so many people have been feeling super disheartened. Auditions have been slower. We're like, what is going on? And I really wanted you all to hear from behind the scenes, from casting directors, producers, agents, about what's really, really happening. So I trust for all of you that showed up to that it was really eye-opening. I know it was. I've gotten my inbox and my DMs have been inundated with thank yous. I'm so grateful. But it really was just a stellar event with a sneak peek. Not even a sneak peek. It was the full peek behind what is going on. And I have to say, for myself, for my own acting career, it was pretty slow for a couple months, had a couple auditions here and there, had 2 auditions a couple weeks ago, nothing, and had 3 auditions due on Monday. So 2 of them were TV shows. So I do feel like we're revving, right? So, September, historically, things get busier. Last week of August, historically, things are really, really slow. I feel like that's usually when the industry shuts down. But again, we'll see how things are going, right? The casting cycles are all different now than they used to be, right? The concept of pilot season has changed substantially. There still is a pilot season, but it's just changed substantially over the years. But all right, hi, Casey. So for those of you tuning on in, let me know what questions are coming up for you. What is going on in your own acting career? What do you need insight on? What do you want advice on? Please, this is your time to pick my brain, ask me any and all questions. I'm an open book. Because I think it's really important to know um, what's going on and to get some insight, especially from people who are working in this industry. I think there's a lot of coaches out there who stopped acting because their businesses took off, but they're not in the muck and mire of it like you and I are. They're not in it in the trenches to know what those changes are and, more importantly, what they feel like and what that means. So, as you were looking for people to add to your team, I just invite you to keep that in the back of your head as well. All right, so let me know. Let me know. Hi, Shayna. Let me know what is happening. So, you guys, I have a corneal ulcer in my eye. I'm on like day 5 of antibiotic. I have like 2 more days left. Yeah, I guess I got some bacteria in my eye, and then whatever. It was all red and it was painful. I share this with you because I can't wear my contacts, so I have to wear my glasses, which is fine, except I get all the glare from my lights on my desk. So I'm not wearing my glasses, but I can't read because my glasses are for distance. And if I sit back here, I can't read anything that you say. So if I get super close and look like a weirdo, that's what you'll know. You'll know what I'm doing. All right. This is a quiet day today. Usually I have lots of questions already pouring in. That's all right. Let's see. What am I going to talk about with you? I will keep talking until you guys ask me some questions. Let me move this. I think just going back to the summit that I hosted, just to share, right, some of the things. I think the main theme, one of the main themes, I'll say this, that was a through line through producers, directors, and pretty much every freaking casting director was know who you are. That is your superpower, right? What is your essence? Who are you? And how are you bringing that and showing that to them in everything that you do? Again, they're seeing 1,500 submissions, 2,000 submissions. How is your thumbnail photo standing out for them to go, yes, Jody Bentley, that's who I want. Yes, Shayna Machezo, is that how I say your name? That's who I want. Yes, Nancy Kenny, that's who I want. How are you standing out? Right? So for me, everyone's like, Jody, the industry's different, right? The industry is different now. What do we do? What do we do? How do we make this work? And first of all, if you're asking that question, I just want to acknowledge you because a lot of people have left this business. How many actors do you know that have left this business? They left it because it got hard. And I don't care if it gets hard. It's time for you to double down. And if you want this, you can still do it. It's just going to look a little bit differently. And that's okay. As long as you're willing for it to look a bit differently. If we're holding on and resisting to, I want it to look like what it did 5 years ago, that's not going to happen, you guys. It is not going to happen. But we can make it what you want it to be now. Right. But again, the big through line through every talk, there was 24 talks in that summit, was really about knowing who you are. And I believe now, especially, look, I've been talking about branding since 2008. I created the first branding course for actors in New York City in 2008. I've been talking about this for a long ass time. And I've always been a fan of branding and your own POV and what are the stories you tell and owning that, because that's what makes you stand out, hands down, from anybody else. It's not gimmicks. It's not being cute. It's not being clever. It's not whatever. It's owning who you freaking are. And that's pretty much it is what, why did my photo thing pop up? And there we go. I'm going to turn off my phone. My watch opened my camera. Really, Apple Watch? Let's just do that. Okay. So I've been talking about branding for a long freaking time. And now, because there's less auditions, because things are slower, because there's less opportunities. I mean, look, even commercially, how many celebs are doing commercials right now? I just had a commercial audition this week. I was like, hallelujah freaking Luya. It's hard as a white woman in my 40s to get commercial auditions for me. So anyway, I digress. We look around and that things are slower. So I truly believe, and I always believe this, and after hearing all of them say it, I'm doubling down on it even harder in this time, is you've got to know your brand. You've got to know who you are. You've got to make sure that that is manifested in all of your marketing tools. You've got to have sales tools so your agents can pitch you, so you can pitch yourself. You've got to have those things. And if your headshots are just fine and you're okay at talking about yourself and you think everything's fine, fine doesn't cut it anymore. It just doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm sorry. And I hate to say that, but we got to be truthful. We got to be truthful. You don't need anyone to sugarcoat what's happening right now. And you don't need anyone to blow smoke up your butt, right? You need the truth. And the truth is, if your materials are just fine and they're not great, it's going to be much harder for you to break through. If you have an idea of what your brand is, but you don't know how to articulate it, or if it's really coming through in your materials, it's going to be harder for you to break through. That is just a fact. That is just a fact. I mean, you look out to the real world in businesses, and a business will not succeed if they do not have a strong brand and point of view and brand clarity about their product. They will not succeed. How are they going to compete? If you're a new coffee shop and you're opening up, how are you going to compete with Starbucks, Coffee Bean, Dunkin' Donuts, Alfred's Coffee? How are you going to compete with all those people? You can't unless you have a very strong brand and point of view. And the same goes for you. I have some questions here on Facebook. Again, I don't have my contacts in, so I can't read. So I have to hold this closer to myself. Casey, hi. Thanks for doing this live stream. Lately, as far as my own acting journey goes, I'm having fun with the local acting film scene in Arizona. Amazing. And always networking at local mixer events. I know I'm passionate about this, yet also feel the struggle with having to look for a survival job. I'm curious, what is your advice on how to handle the real world while still chasing the passion for film acting? Yeah, I mean, it's a freaking balance, Casey, right? It's such a balance. And I think first of all, we get to know that, right? I don't focus on my acting career 24 hours a day. I think it's important to have a side hustle, a side job that supports you, that supports your creativity or time. I think that's one of the most important things. So as you're looking for something, Casey, I would reach into like, what are your skill sets? What is your zone of genius? What is your, zone of genius? Where do you shine? What is easy for you? It's easy for me, honestly, to pop on these live streams for an hour and talk and answer questions. It is so much fun for me. It is easy for me to talk to you guys and answer questions. I freaking love it. So that's why this whole coaching business became my side career, right? Since 2008. But so for you, like your survival job, what's your zone of genius? What are you good at? And maybe it's not even your zone of genius. What is your zone of excellence? What are you really competent at that at the end of the day you can leave, right? What is going to fuel you and or fuel your time or your money? Right. I have a lot of I have actors who start their own businesses because it fuels them, right? Whether they're doing massage, Reiki, maybe they edit people's reels, right? That fuels them. They're in their zone of genius. I have other clients who are like, you know what? I'm really good at serving. That's in my zone of excellence. I'm going to do that. And then I can leave it. I can make money and and then I feel creative for my acting career. What I think is really hard, Casey, is when we have survival jobs that are draining, soul sucking, are not fulfilling in the least. And then it makes it so much harder to be creative and to step into the space that we need to be an actor. Right? Because again, we are our instruments. And if you are tired or drained or angry or mad all the time because you hate what you're doing on the side, that makes it really, really hard to run your acting business. So I would just take a step back and go, what are my skill sets? What am I good at? I differentiate, and this is a, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. He wrote The Big Leap. Whoever wrote The Big Leap, blanking on his name. I'm forgetting. Hendricks. Anyway, if someone remembers, write it in the chat. He talks about that zone of genius and zone of excellence. And I think it's really important to understand. I mean, most of us want to be living in our zone of genius. I trust that acting is your zone of genius. So if you want to that's why you distinguish like the zone of genius and the zone of excellence. But zone of excellence, or at least you're being good at something and fulfilling something. So I would really start to think about that. Casey says, in addition to acting, I really enjoy the creative skills for online content creation, especially writing and video editing and graphics. Casey, I love it. Everybody needs that. I need that. You know what I mean? That's a great skill. Now that's a side business you can start to create. Now, I will say starting a business is no joke, right? Because what does that take? Marketing, sales, all the stuff you get to do as an actor, right? There's a common thread between a lot of the things we have to do. Marketing is a common thread among every business, right? I have clients who left the acting business. They go, acting's not for me. I'm going to work in real estate, and then they become a real estate agent. They get their license. They start being a real estate agent, and they go, oh shit, I got to market myself, right? At the end of the day, it's all marketing. But it sounds like you might be good at that, Casey. Yeah, Casey says, definitely something I'm always concerned about. I know I need stable work for survival, but don't want to feel drained, especially in regards to mental health. That's why I'd love to find something where I can at least use those skills I'm excited about doing. Exactly. Go on Upwork, go on Fiverr. You can start seeing what people who are doing like video editing, what are they charging? What do their profiles look like? Maybe you can start building something there, promoting those services, reaching out to small businesses in your area, going, hey, do you need help with video content creation, editing, right? Start building a portfolio of people. But it's going to be a little bit of legwork for you to get that going. But yeah, I really invite you to lean into that. Oh gosh, now all those questions went away. I will say this, when I look at stuff on, what is this called? Facebook. It only shows me 4 messages at a time, and I have no freaking idea. So everyone who posted, let me see if I open my video, what it does. Oh no, there they are. Great. Can we ask questions? Yes, Christina Maria, ask questions in the comments. Please, please, please. And let me just say hi to Rob and Dariel and Paul and Ashley. Hi, Millie. Hi, Sir Mark. Awesome. And Quentin. Hi, Quentin. Yes, Christina, you can ask questions. Okay. Hey, Bill. Bill asks, hey, Jody, it took a while, but I booked a play. Congrats, Bill. We're now in previews at the American Theater of Actors now through September 7th. I love it so much. Congrats, Bill. All right. He says, as much as I'd rather not do extra work for TV or film, Central Casting requires you do an anti-harassment online seminar. Does Grant Wilfley require the same? I'm actually not sure about that answer. Does anyone else, does anyone do extra work with Central Casting or Grant Wilfley to know if they make you do that? It's become a pretty standard thing. Even when I was hired at University of Texas in the spring to create their business of acting class, I had to go through a whole anti-harassment course. I had to go through a whole thing. Like a lot of businesses make people do that. So it might just be a thing. I honestly don't know because I don't do the extra work, and I know their protocols probably have shifted and changed, over the years. But if anyone knows, if anyone knows the answer to that, please post and I'll share that with Bill. Though Bill, I'm sure you could go on their website and find out. No? But again, congrats on your play. That is awesome. That is awesome. Noreen, question about Actors Equity. I got offered a role in an equity production. Look at all these my clients booking theater. I love it. They said I can choose to join equity. Would it be good to join when you book your first equity job, or is staying non-union longer beneficial? That's so funny. Like when I became equity back in you had to join. Like you booked an equity job, you had to join. That's so interesting that they're giving you the choice. During COVID, equity really, it was interesting. They started this open door policy. They had the whole sister union with SAG-AFTRA. They really needed members because if theater wasn't happening, I know a lot of members, put their memberships on hold. Therefore, they're not getting dues. They're not getting anything. So I know they had to sort of shift even their union model so that they could survive. Like even when I moved to Los Angeles, I moved here to do film and television. So I wasn't focusing on theater. So I put my equity card on hold for 10 years. I paused it for 10 years. And then I got down to me and another woman for a reading in a new equity musical here in Los Angeles. And I was like, maybe I should reinstate that card. So I did. I didn't book it though, but alas, there'll be another one. There'll be more. Oh God, Noreen, that's a tough question. I guess my thought is, do you want to be doing non-union theater? And yes, that could be like some 99-seat theater stuff in Los Angeles. Well, what is going to fuel you? right? Because a non-union theater typically doesn't pay anything. Are you looking for paid work? Now, if you're equity, you are competing at a different level, but now you have a union that you can put on your resume. Do you know what I mean? You're still non-union as far as film and all of that and web series. And I know your other goal is film and television. That's I don't know how to guide you on that one. It feels like such a personal question. I would really think, Noreen, what would doing more non-union theater do for you? How would that serve you and your long-term vision and your career growth? Because I know you've done a lot of non-union theater, and I know you've worked at some really great theaters in New York that were doing non-union productions. So I would take a step back and go, is it beneficial for me to be able to work in that non-union, or are you now ready? You booked an equity show. Oh my God, my heart goes out to you so much. I just want to can I tell everyone, Noreen, I'm telling everybody your story. Noreen was a New York actor. She moved to LA. We were working together in my membership, the Actors Think Tank. If you don't know the Actors Think Tank, go to theactorsthinktank.com. It is my signature membership. Registration ends tonight at 9 p.m. to get 20% off. So I highly invite you to go check it out. It's extremely affordable because I get it. I'm an actor. I understand what we pay. So I would really invite you to check that out. And that's basically my 7 steps to be a working actor. And when Noreen moved from New York to LA, she followed all the steps in my think tank. She got a manager. She got, I think, theatrical and commercial agent. Noreen, correct me if I'm wrong. And you've been in the think tank since, and we've been talking about strategy and leveling up. And then I know she had wanted to get a New York agent from LA, and we did our whole agent campaign. Guess what? Right at the end of the campaign, in the 11th hour, she got an offer from a really fabulous agent and signed with a New York agent. And now you had been wanting to join the unions, and now you just got your equity job. This is what happens, you guys, when you put in the work, when you have a strategy, and when you're constantly assessing. Noreen, I just want to give a shout out to you that you are constantly assessing what is working and what is not. You show up to every Q&A in the think tank twice a month, and you ask questions. You show up. You are curious. And this is why all this stuff is happening. And I know that there have been slow periods, and I know we've been talking about trusting through all of that. And I just want to really give you a shout out because you are sort of the, I don't want to say poster child. That sounds so, when you're the poster child, that sounds weird. It sounded like negative. You're the queen. There we are. I'm going to call you the queen. You're the queen of staying the course and adjusting. And now look at what's happening. But I think, Noreen, I would just take a step back and go, how is the non-union world serving you? Or is it serving your ego? Is it serving your ego to go, I booked this, I booked this, I booked this? Or is it better now to be auditioning at that higher level, start to have those casting directors know you as now equity, have those equity theaters know you as equity, and really start pitching yourself and leveling up? You might have heard what I think in that response, but sit with it, and congrats. I'm so freaking excited for you. I'm so excited. All right. Okay, let me go. Let's see. I see you. I have a few other questions here on Facebook. I'll go there in 1 second. Excuse me. I'm going to go to Millie here on Instagram. Hi, Millie. I'm based in London. Recently graduated from drama school. Congrats. Do you have any general advice for recent grads on breaking into the industry? Woo-wee. It's such a big question. I had to take a sip of tea. Hold on. And it's really hot, so I had to take 2 tiny sips. Okay. Yeah, Millie. I wish you would have attended my whole summit that we just did. I'll say this. When I graduated, I thought, great, I have my craft. Now I just need to go to auditions and everything's going to be great. And I tried to do everything. I should focus on everything. I tried to focus on theater and film and television and voiceover and commercials, you name it. And I got nowhere fast, Millie. My biggest advice, especially with where we are now in our industry. And I know that you're in the UK, it's a totally different market, right? But because of what's happening in the States with less production, and we already said production is down 22% in Los Angeles, our tax credits are just now kicking in, things are happening here, but there is a trickle down effect, right? That happens globally when things slow down in the US. That's just kind of what happens. I know my clients in France are feeling it. My clients in like Czech Republic are feeling it. I know people are feeling it, right? So this is why I think this is a global thing of you got to double down, Millie, on who you are. Who are you? Where do you fit? What are the stories you tell? Because drama school is amazing, right? I'm sure you had the best time in drama school. I did too. I went to Tisch, I went to NYU. I loved it. And what drama school does is it expands you, right? It expands your craft. So you have all these tools in your toolbox. You play, 80-year-old men and 10-year-old girls, and you play all these kind of roles to tap into whatever, right? We learn all this stuff to stretch us. Drama school stretches us. And then we get out into the real world. And what they taught us, yes, it translates once you book, right? Because you have good craft to be able to build your character and do all that stuff. What it doesn't translate into is how to market and pitch yourself. So if you want to break into the industry, Millie, and this is for anybody, if you've been trying to quote unquote break into the industry and it has not been working, it has to do with your clarity. It has to do with your clarity of self and how you're pitching and promoting yourself and packaging yourself. So, Millie, it's doubling down on who are you? What is your brand? What do you sell? What are the stories you tell better than anybody else? Is that represented in your headshots, in your reels, in your clips, in your website, in your email signature, in your pitch emails, in your social media, in your bio? Like how is that manifested and represented across the board? So when a producer or a director or a casting director researches you, they go, "Oh, I get who Millie is. I get who Millie is. I get what she does." Right. And that's up to you to do that. So Millie, that's my main advice is you got to know who you are. When I graduated, I floundered for 8 years. 8 years thinking I would be discovered, thinking, "Oh, this audition, it'll be the next one. It'll be the next one." And yeah, I booked stuff. I booked a lot of regional and summer stock and a lot of non-paying theater in New York City, non-union theater in Noreen, right? Um, but then there was a point I was like, "What am I doing? What am I doing? This is not how I am going to have a sustainable career as an artist, which is what I freaking went to school for. I put myself in debt for, and it's what I want to do." And that's when I realized it was business skills. It was business skills. And that's when I doubled down on branding, networking, sales, educated myself on all of that. And that's how my first business started. So, Millie, if you want to break in, double down on you. Who are you and how do you package that so the industry gets you like that? And that is exactly what I do in the Actors Think Tank. So, Millie, go check that out, theactorsthinktank.com. I'll put a link in the chat as well when I post this after the live stream. But again, like I said, it's 20% off through 9 p.m. tonight, Pacific here. And that's in my entire branding system. It's like 12 lessons. It's my entire headshot prep, how to get an agent. Every system I've created is in there. I'm not a coach who believes, "Hey, buy my networking course. Hey, buy my agent course. Hey, buy my branding course." I'm not about that. I'm about giving you all of it. Why? Because it's holistic, right? And you are a holistic human being and you need all of these pieces to actually build your acting business. I talk about finances in there and a financial plan, right? So Casey, you're talking about survival jobs, right? How do we have a financial plan in place for ourselves as well? So Millie, I would just go there, check it out, DM me, email me, ask me any questions. Cause again, that sale does end tonight at 9. But if I had a me at 21, I know my career would be in a different place. I know that it would. And at all of the universities that I've built their programs and taught at, all those 21, 22-year-olds, every single one of them landed an agent. Every single one of them had a grounding and a foundation to go from because they had business skills and they knew who they were and are. All right. Great question, Millie. Thank you for asking. Thank you. Oh my God. Hi, Troper. Hi, Carol. Hi, Insta Blow Your Mind. Thank you, Troper. Troper said I look pretty. Thank you. Shannon, hi. And Christina's here. Millie said it's really helpful. Thank you. You're welcome. Great. She said I'll check it out. Thank you. Hi, Jenna. Hi, Chelsea. Chelsea, you asked a question in my inbox and I've been a little swamped this week. I'm going to answer today. I promise. All right. Let me go back to, I know I had some questions here on Facebook. Hold on. Again, I have to hold it. I don't have my contacts in and I can't see far. Okay. Let's see. We got Noreen. Casey. That was all. Casey, we answered that. Christina, I just started the Actors Think Tank. Woohoo! You haven't reached social media strategy yet. That's because it's in step 7. So, Christina, we get to know who you are first, right? Know who you are first, understand your goals, understand how you're packaging yourself. Then we're going to get to pitching. So, I'm new to acting, haven't been open with my new identity to old friends and distant family members. Should I have a separate professional Instagram profile? Or should I adjust my already existing, since I have some people from the industry they're already following? I want to be able to show all of my aspects to the world, but you're hesitant. Of course you're hesitant. It's so new, right? And there's this, what do I say? There's this like feeling of, will I be judged? What will they think? Well, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? How will I be perceived? Right? Because look, when we change, and it just sounds like you made a big decision and a big change, right? When we make changes in our lives, it tends to make other people uncomfortable. I'm just going to say that again. When we make changes in our lives, it makes other people uncomfortable. Why? Because we are pre-programmed to not like change. We're not. So when someone else, so we don't, and change is inevitable, right? We are all changing in this moment. Why? Because we are all aging as the time keeps ticking on, right? We're constantly changing. It's just what happens. But we're pre-programmed not to like change because our brains want to keep us safe. And change is unsafe. So now if you make some big changes in your life and the people around you are like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, that's why you get a lot of naysayers. And that's why a lot of times the naysayers are the people who are close to you. It's because you've rattled them. You've rattled them and they go, oh my God, I haven't done anything. Look what she's doing. Look what he's doing. Look what they're doing. Oh no. Yeah, that's too much for me. So some people might not like what you're doing, Christina. Everyone's going to have a goddamn opinion about it. I definitely, so first of all, let me just say this. I understand why you're feeling that way. And just know that is just a fear and it is a limiting belief. And it is limiting belief based in some validity just by how the human brain tends to work. Okay. But I will say this, the people who love you and support you will still love you and support you. They will. They will. I don't know why this story just popped into my head, but when I was in New York, I did a lot of, oh, hi, Nahir. When I was in New York, I was doing a lot of musical theater, right? And I was a redhead and I was in New York and my hair is naturally curly. So if I dumped a bucket of water on my head right now, it would bling and my hair would be really curly. I get it blown out. And I get it blown out because now that's how I'm packaging myself for the roles that I want to book in film and television, right? My bone structure leans more towards this hairstyle so people can see, oh, I get where to put her, right? Where the curly hair for me made me seem more of like funny, neurotic sidekick. And that's not necessarily what I tend to book, right? Shanna says, Jody sprinkling in neuroscience. Totally. So I'm sharing this story, Christina, because when I was in New York, as I was making the transition to Los Angeles, I had booked a film and the director had asked if I would straighten my hair for the role. So I did, again, just blew it out. And then I was like, oh, I think this is what I need to do. And I literally walked into my commercial agent's office. I was with Abrams at the time, and it was Tracy Goldblum. And I walked in and Tracy looked at me. She went, there you are, because now it made sense. It was more of a cohesive package. Anyway, I digress. That's more about packaging, which we go over all over in the think tank. So anyway, I was sitting down. I had to meet a coaching client. Now, all my clients at this point knew me as a curly redhead. And now I had straight hair, still red, but I had straight hair. And, when I was in New York, I coached out of like Starbucks and hotel lobbies, right? This is the beginnings of my coaching career. And I was meeting a client at a Starbucks or something. And I'll never forget the look on his face. I walked in and sat down and I was like, hey, I won't say his name. I remember exactly who it was. And I was like, hey. And he just kind of like did this and like leaned back. And I was like, are you okay? And he was like, I can't. And it's because my hair was straight. And granted, I look very different with curly hair than with straight hair, but his brain couldn't process it. And all of a sudden the change became too much for him. right? And that's such like a tiny little microcosm level. But think of all the big changes we have, right? When we find our person or we change careers or we get divorced, right? That rocks people's worlds because we are changing and they might not be. And so it challenges them in a way of like, wow, I've stayed the same. They're evolving. But it also challenges them because they go, oh, this makes me feel unsafe. So anyway, that's a very silly story just to sort of make your point, Christina. But what I definitely will invite you to do is embrace one Instagram profile for it all. It is so hard to compartmentalize. Back in the early aughts, when I was an actor was still am, but when I was acting, I'll say that in the early aughts, and all my clients it's a very different industry. And back then, if you were like, oh, I'm an actor, writer, director, they'd go, oh, you're not serious then. You're not serious. And now if you say, oh, I'm an actor, they go, what else do you do? Like multi-hyphenate is what people want now. With the advent of reality TV, all this social media and everything, we are used to seeing all different sides of people and people doing multiple things. So when someone just presents one side of themselves, I think we kind of get a little confused. Like think about even the people you follow on Instagram, and I know I get to be better with this, is showing more of the behind the scenes of who am I really and what's, not that this is fake, but like who am I when I'm putting on my makeup or just chilling out with my husband or whatever. Like we want to see that stuff. Why? Because we're interested in the totality of people and the humanity of people, because that's what we relate to. So I would definitely say we want to embrace your social with all sides of you, Christina. And we can definitely talk about this more in depth in the Think Tank coaching calls and in the community of how to do this. But I really do invite you to use your one Instagram profile for that. And I think it might be we can come up with a fun plan, of how to announce it, when to announce it. Do we do a fun little countdown thing? Do we plant little like breadcrumbs and then have people guess? I don't know. We could do a really a fun thing that feels authentic to you. So let's continue that conversation for sure. For sure. All right. That was a great question. All right. Let me just make sure I got everything here on Facebook. Let me just refresh and make sure. Sometimes the screen gets weird. All right. So again, for those of you just tuning on in, hey, I'm Jody Bentley. I am actor and CEO of Actor Insider and the Actor's Office. I go live on the first and third Fridays of every month. So this month was a little different for my coffee and coaching hour. Oops, there we go. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Now I've screwed it all up. Why do I hate Facebook so much? Just tell me that. Just tell me that. Now I can't even see the comments anymore. There we go. There we are. Okay. Now I see it. Okay, great. Christina says, thank you. You're welcome. Okay. All right. So yes, for those of you just tuning in, this is where you get to ask all your questions about the business of acting. Again, I go live to share, to be of service to our community. I wish I had someone, when I had first started off, supporting me and helping me. And I think it's really important to have those people in your corner. So I really just want to introduce myself and support you as we all go on this journey together. Hi, Anna. Hi, Brielle. Hi, Ellen. Awesome. All right. So this is your chance. Ask any and all questions you do have. What's going on in your career? Anything you need to talk out. This is the time to do it. And I am excited that I got to go live on this Friday. Last week I was doing my summit, so I didn't have the bandwidth for it. But I'm really excited because I get to share with you that, again, which I mentioned to Millie, and I just talked to Christina, who's now in the Actors Think Tank. The Actors Think Tank, my signature membership, is everything that I've learned since I've been coaching in 2008. It's every system I've ever created. My goal system, branding system, networking system, packaging systems for every freaking marketing tool, how to prep your headshots, how to choose your headshots, right? All of it. And it's 20% off through 9 p.m. tonight Pacific. You can go to theactorsthinktank.com, shoot me a message, shoot me an email, ask me any questions that you have. But if you've been unclear about anything in your business, if you've been lacking clarity about who you are, how to pitch, how to network, who to reach out to, if you've been scared, if you've been letting your excuses take over, this is the community for you. I spell everything out for you. We have 2 live coachings every month. We have a monthly training every month. We have a goal setting session every month. We have weekly work sessions for you. I want you to walk the walk and talk the talk and let's stop the excuses and stop the complaining. And that's what this membership is all about. Oh, I asked on Insta, is it only on Facebook? Oh, here you are. Oh, I didn't see your question. Did you ask a question? I don't see a question of yours. No, is what on Facebook? Insta blow your mind. I'm here on Instagram. Is it only on Facebook? My course is on a course platform. We don't function out of any social media platform. We function in our own community, if that was the question. All right, but you ask. Brielle, he says, yeah. Okay, cool. How do I start auditioning and getting myself in the industry when I'm 17 and don't live in a city where the acting industry is huge? Brielle, what a great question. And first of all, I love it. I started acting when I was really young too. I moved to New York City when I was 17, Brielle, to go to school. My birthday is September 20th. And I had, I was the youngest, always the youngest one in my class. So I literally packed up and moved to New York at 17. Not that I'm telling you to do that. I had a school system. It was good. Though I did get mugged my first week in New York, but that's a whole other story. I was totally fine. Okay, we digress. So how do you start auditioning? What's happening locally, right? Is there a community theater to get involved in? Sorry, I'm going to get back to you. No, is there a question site? No, you can ask your question right here. You can ask your questions on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you are, YouTube. I will make sure to find it and answer. So Brielle, I don't know what market you are in, but if you're 17 and just starting, I'm not sure if you want to be doing theater, film, or television. If it's theater, like there's always a community theater nearby. Just start acting. Get your craft going. Get on stage, right? Be involved in some kind of theater group, an improv group, whatever it may be. Start there. In your every state has a film commission. So I would find what's the film commission in your state. What films are coming there to be cast. Right. So you might not be in a big city. I have clients in Kansas. I have clients in Wisconsin. I have clients in small communities all over, in small towns in Texas. Right. I have clients all over the states, and guys, I have clients in 32 countries now. I've been saying 17 countries, and I hadn't done the math in about a year, and I just did the math the other day and looked where all my clients were. I have clients in 32 countries. This shit works globally. That makes me so happy. Anyway, I digress. So Brielle, look at the film commission in your state and see what's coming on in, because sometimes they'll be casting extras locally. They'll be casting some of the smaller roles locally. Is there a local casting director? Usually they have an on-the-ground casting director locally to do that stuff. Who are those people? So this is going to be a little bit of research mode for you. And if you're not in a city where the acting industry is huge, there are Zoom classes. You can get on a Zoom class. You can study with someone in New York, Los Angeles. Look up Kimberly Jensen. Look up Karen West. Look up Anthony Grasso in New York, right? Start looking up some of these teachers that have classes on Zoom. Start building some of your audition technique in that regard. So I would look at that. You know, I wish I would have educated myself more at your age on the business and what was at my disposal in terms of research and networking and people. So if I were you, I would do that. I would start there. Let me know if you have a follow-up question to that. But that's my first hit, my first impulse. Awesome. Okay, let me go to Facebook again. I don't have my contacts in. I can't see. Austin. Hey, Austin. I wonder what you would say to a bitter actor, me, who has invested so much into my acting business and haven't seen a great ROI. Oh, Austin. I get it. I have a lot of bitter actors who come to me. I completely understand. And then we get bitter, we get jaded, we get burnt out. We're like, hey, I've tried all the things. And I get that could be super, I'll just say it, fucking frustrating. So this is when I say we get to take, because here's the thing. And I know for myself too, we get into these patterns, right? Where we're like, I'm just going to keep investing. And we're like on a little hamster wheel. We have our blinders on like horses, you know, and we're just going. Well, if I just keep throwing money at it, it's going to work. Do you know what I mean? It's like a gambling addiction, right? I'm in Vegas and I'm just going to keep throwing money at it and eventually I'll hit, but then you don't. And you're like, what's happening? And it's because you're too in it. You're too tunnel visions. That's the word I'm looking for. So when I have an actor come to me who's like, hey, I've invested all this money, nothing has worked, nothing's happened, there's a couple things at play. I think one thing is we haven't taken a 10,000-foot view on your career and really assess what's going on. It's like sometimes when we throw money at the things, oh, I'll just do this workshop. I'm going to take this class. I'm going to get in this another acting class, and I'm going to take this 3-week casting director workshop, or I'll buy this course, or I'll do this, right? It's kind of like if we're doing it, what am I trying to say? I want to say it's like a Band-Aid to the problem. This is why I think it's really important. And that's why the first step of my think tank is even assessment, right? Like we got to take a 10,000-foot view and go, okay, what is working? What is actually working in my career? You know what? I have this agent. They are awesome. I love our communication. What's not working? And that, you know, I'm not getting seen for the auditions that I want, or whatever it is, right? But to really take a step back and get really freaking honest with yourself about what is working, what is not. What are the holes? What is missing? Because sometimes we're throwing money at the wrong shit. Like if you're throwing all your money at casting director workshops, but you have no online presence for them to follow up with you or to see what you're doing, or you're doing a workshop, but you have no follow through on that, you're wasting money. If you're constantly in acting class, but you're not auditioning and your headshots aren't competitive enough, you're getting stuck in class land and you're wasting money because that's not what's going to move the needle right now. So I would venture to bet, Austin, that there maybe hasn't been some assessment period of what is really going on to start to really examine what is going to move the needle. That we've just been like, boop, 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 something will work, something will work. And I get it, that's easier. You know, sometimes it's hard to assess and be honest with ourselves, right? I mean, this was one thing I shared at some point. I really wanted to get auditions with a British accent. I can do one really well. My last name is Bentley, for Christ's sake. And I was not getting seen for any of that stuff. And I was complaining about it. And then I was like, Jody, what do you coach people on? You don't have a clip that shows you with an accent to then be able to get those auditions. It's up to me to create the stuff to get seen for the stuff that I want. So I did a self-tape with a British accent. I got 3 auditions within like a month and a half with that British accent. Just clip that my team could start pitching, right? Because that was me taking a 10,000-foot view on this is what I want. I'm not, what's in the gap? I'm not getting it. What can I do to bridge that gap? This. So that's just a small example. But Austin, that would sort of be my advice is take a 10,000-foot view and let's assess what's really going on. Is it your mindset? Is everything else right? Do you feel really great about your brand? Do you know how to talk about yourself? Do you know how to pitch yourself? Are your materials on point? Are they great? Are your auditions great? Are you at a great caliber? Do you have a great team? If all that stuff is working, maybe it's mindset, right? Maybe it's how you're showing up to those auditions. Maybe it's your belief system that's dragging you down. People can feel that. And even in the summit that I just hosted, those casting directors like, we can feel that on a self-tape. We can feel that desperation. We can feel all that, right? Maybe it's a mindset thing. And I will say, you know, again, I don't know your whole story. I don't know what you've thrown money at. It's like, I'm just guessing here, right? If you want to give me some more information, that's cool. But I know for me, when I'm like, what's working? And sometimes we need an outside eye. I have an accountability partner I talk to twice a week. I have an acting accountability partner. We check in once a month. We support each other, right? I need that outside eye in my own career. I've had multiple coaches in my career. I hire coaches all the time when I need them. So sometimes it's hard to see the holes ourselves. So Austin, I get it. And I hate that I'm going to say this next piece. So just be in the moment with me. I would check out my membership. Here's the caveat. When you join, you have a 14-day refund period. So you could join at 20% off now, go in there, join my next coaching call is, I can't see you guys. You know, I don't have my contacts in. Hold the phone. I have to look at my wall. Our Q&A coaching call is on the 28th of August. That's in 6 days. Look around, take an assessment on yourself, show up to that coaching call. Let's chat it out. And if you're like, yeah, this isn't what I need, then cancel. I'm totally fine. Full refund within 14 days. I want to make sure that you get what you need. But I do think for you, it is about assessment. And I just don't think you've been putting your money into the right things to move the needle for you. Let me know if any of that resonates with you at all. And if you have a follow-up question. Okay. Maria, hi. Hi, Val. Brielle says, thank you so much. I'm currently taking classes with Jessica Reddish. I love Jessica Reddish. Jessica's directed me in a movie. Jessica's a client of mine. She took one of my courses, Dare to Be Unstoppable. That's how we met. And then she wrote a script for me and we recorded it. And we just got into another film festival. So I'm very excited. I love Jessica. That's really awesome. And you're in Nashville. Nashville's a great market. My client Sarah is in Nashville. I helped her get her first agent and her first TV booking. She does stand up down there. She just booked something else. Sarah Fye, she's awesome. So Nashville's great. That's really great. I'm excited for you. All right. Let me just take a sip of tea. Oh my God, it's 10:52. Where did this time go today? All right, hold on. I got your question. Let me look here. Austin says, you clocked me. That's so helpful. Cool. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because there's a big difference. And I'll get to your question. Insta blow your mind. There's a big difference between being busy and being productive. And I think a lot of actors spend their time being busy. Well, look at me. I'm in 6 casting director workshops this month. I'm in a class. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Great. But what's really moving the needle for you? What do you want? What do you want? Are you actually moving towards that vision or their goal? Or we talked about how change is hard. Are we staying in the circle because it's safe, because it's really hard to level up and change? Because what if you really leveled up and then things still didn't work out? Or even worse, what if you really leveled up and then you were successful? Because that's really scary too, right? All right, good, Austin. I'm glad that resonated. Okay. You'll ask here. Okay, broke, extraordinarily educated, arts, high school, BFA, MA from RCSSD, headshots, loose-ish branding that needs tightening, compiling a short reel from a very small pool. What are your first 3 moves? Oh, and full member union ACTRA. Got it. So are you in Canada? Is that where you are? With a bunch of experience. Love it. First 3 moves. I'm just rereading it so I can get, I want to make sure I'm really clear in my response. You got to, loose-ish branding ain't going to cut it, right? So my first move would be to double down on branding and get really freaking clear. Then I would go through my headshot session to make sure that what I'm actually putting out there is selling me in the way I want it to be sold, quote unquote. So I would double down on branding, get really clear, not loose-ish, really clear. Make sure, double check headshots work, not about getting new headshots, going through your old session, looking through it and going, oh, no, this eyebrow raise in that one actually says villainous a little bit more. And that's what I want to book. Whatever. I'm making shit up. I would go through your tools and tweak them to make sure there's brand clarity in all of those tools. So I'm going to kind of just call that one move. Compiling a short reel. So great. I love it that you're compiling a short reel. There will be holes in that reel. If that's stuff that you've booked, it might not be the stuff that you want to be booking or really showcase you in the right way. So brand, tweak all the materials. I would shoot 2 to 3 self-tape clips that really show the industry who you are. But first, you got to do the branding work. That's why with my clients, I build a branding chart. Right. And in our branding chart is your 3 overall essences of you. And that's how we build your headshots. That's how we build any clips that you want to book. That's how we build your logos, your color schemes, all of that. So I would do that and then record 2 or 3 clips to really help pitch you in the way that you want to be pitched. Third thing, relationships. You didn't mention anything there about relationships. So you can be the most talented person in the world with the best materials and the best brand. But if no one knows who you are, it doesn't matter. So then what's your strategy? I would build a strategy to, did you say you have an agent? You didn't say you had an agent. I would build an agent strategy and a casting director strategy and reach out that way. And I saw the first bird broke. I saw that. So what I might do, again, is 20% off. I have 2 levels of my think tank. There's just the content level, which is all my systems, which would support you in everything that I just said. Right now, that's $37.60 a month. That's really cheap. The community level, which gets coaching and all the other things, that's $77.60 a month right now with the 20% off. So if you can afford it, you're broke, at least join for a month. You can cancel any freaking time. Go through the branding, at least do the branding portion of that and get really clear. So that's what I would do. Those would be my moves. Thank you for the question. All right. Hi, Lori. Hello, Mrs. Doubtfire Voice. I've been out of the loop. Any great online classes coming up? Arizona area, Southwest area? Online classes. What kind of class are you looking for? Are you talking about my online classes or an online class in general? Please clarify. Hi, Luciana. Mitchell. Yes, Canada. Got it. Mitchell, you've got a future client, zero capital currently. Luckily, I'm indeed working on the relationships. Great. But yeah, I would do branding. I would do branding, Mitchell, for sure. For shoresies. All right, let me go to Facebook here and see what else is going on. I'm going to refresh, which is always not a good idea. And okay, cool. What time is it? It's 10:57. My God, this time has flown. Now you're making me do that voice, Lori. My version of Mrs. Doubtfire. Yours is probably better. I'm just double checking here. Okay, cool. All right. In general, classes in general. Well, Lori, as we were talking about with Austin was saying how much money he's invested in his career and has seen no ROI. So I would, in general, invite you to get a little more specific on your on what you're looking for, because we just don't want to be putting our money in all the places. I mean, right now, if you're looking for a class for business and branding and packaging and networking and sales and getting an agent, that's my membership, the Actors Think Tank. It's 20% off through 9 p.m. Pacific tonight. You can go to theactorsthinktank.com. Let's see. Kimberly Jensen is hosting a free acting class coming up in September. She's one of my coaches. You can go to her website. I can also post the link here. I would definitely recommend her and see what she's got going on. But I would start with those two things. Awesome. All right, team. Oh, hi, Jessica. Let's see. I'm just making sure. I keep squinting everywhere so I can read. This was great. Great questions. Happy Friday. I know it's Friday. So I got to say, I feel really good today. I've had a migraine for 2 days, you guys. Yesterday was hard. And I woke up today. I was like, oh, it's gone. I feel great. So now I'm ready to work. I feel like it's not Friday. I feel like, no, I have all this work to do now. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in today. If anyone has a last minute question as I'm wrapping up, please post it and I'll make sure to answer it. Really excited to get on here and do these live streams and answer questions for you. I think it's just so important to connect, to be part of community, to help each other rise up. And for those of you who are ready to go a little bit deeper with this work, Mitchell says, see you next session. Thank you. You're so welcome, Mitchell. You're so welcome. And for those of you who are, as I said, who are looking to go a little bit deeper, I am giving 20% off my membership, the Actors Think Tank, through 9 p.m. tonight. That has my entire branding system, headshot. I mean, everything is in there. I don't sell individual courses. I put everything in one membership because we are holistic artists and we need it all. So I want to give it to you all in one place. So go to theactorsthinktank.com, check that out. Again, email me, DM me, ask me any questions. I want it to be a hell yes for you for sure. But just know that that's happening and closing tonight. So if that's something that you want to take advantage of, I highly, highly recommend doing it. Oh, Suzanne says hi. The workshop was amazing. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you. All right, Casey has, Ashley says, thank you so much for everything. You're amazing. Oh, thank you, Ashley. Thank you. Casey says, switching over from Facebook. What is your advice in regards to creating a variety of online content as an actor? I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record, Casey. What's your brand? What do you want to be putting out in the world? You got to start with that. What's your messaging? Who are you? What's your point of view? Right? We got to start there. And then putting out content, and so it's knowing that, then what's your goal, right? If your goal is theater, or your goal is film, or your goal is television, your goal is voiceover, that might be different strategies, right? I have clients who are audiobook narrators who their online content is them reading sections of books. I have clients who their goals are TV comedy. They're putting out little comedy sketches. I have clients who film is their goal, so they're posting clips of their self tapes, or they're doing breakdowns of film scripts or different things, right? So you got to know who you are, what's your point of view, what's your goal, and then how can you build fun content, interesting, creative content for you, that's going to help move the needle to get you where you want to go. Or else we're just like, I'll just create shit and putting things out, right? So we always want to have the clarity up front and the end goal in mind. So that's how I think about that, Casey. All right, team. So good to be here with you today. Oh no, there's another question. Hold on. You guys are gonna let me hang up. Hannah, only catching these last few minutes. Did you say the branding guidelines will be in both content and community? Yes, Hannah. Yeah, so the content section of the think tank is just that. It's all the content. It's all the systems. What you don't get is the coaching access to me, the monthly training, the work sessions, and what's the other thing? Oh, the goal check-in that we do every month. So you don't get all like the community aspect, but you get all the systems. You get all the systems. That's all in there. So yeah, Hannah, for sure. For sure. Casey says, thanks for the advice. Okay, I'm going to try to sign off again. Do I wait? Someone ask a question. That's a great question, Hannah. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, and the content level of the membership, I'll say this. I only had one level to the membership, which was the whole shebang. I just said shebang. Who says that? I haven't said that word in a long time. It was the whole kit and caboodle. And then again, I am an actor. I recognize that income can be challenging. So that's why I added that other level, because that's kind of like the DIY version, right? I'm going to go through this on my own and I'm going to do it. And look, you can always upgrade at a later time if there's a cash flow. You know what I mean? So you have that option, Hannah, as well. All right, everyone. So again, if you do want to join, you have till 9 p.m. tonight to get that 20% off. I highly invite you to take advantage of discounts. They're always a good thing. And if it's not the right time now, I totally get it. I will still be showing up here on the first and third Fridays of every month to be with you and connect. But other than that, have a great weekend. Have some downtime, and I will see you next time. All right, let me say goodbye, Instagram. Let me say goodbye, YouTube. And goodbye.